Mumbai, or Bombay as it used to be called, is the biggest port city in India. It's built on a narrow peninsula on the swampy coast of the Arabian Sea. It's the 5th largest conurbation in the world. There's no government agency that registers people. Estimates put the population of Mumbai at 20 million.
I love Mumbai. There is no other city in the world that I would much rather live in. And when I'm here, I grumble, I complain, I moan about the traffic, I moan about the pollution, I'm constantly complaining. 10 days out of Mumbai, anyway, you could take me to Switzerland, and after 10 days I say, where's my pollution? Where are my slums? Where is my city? It's a throbbing, living, intense, vibrant city.
Mumbai's 20 million people live crammed together, 32,000 per square kilometre on average. And more than half of them live in slums. One of the largest in the north of Mumbai is Santa Cruz. It's near the international airport and half an hour by train from the centre. Families have been living in Santa Cruz for generations without running water or sewerage. Some still don't have electricity. It was more or less on a whim that a few residents got together to upgrade their slum. They want to remain here, so they decided to try to improve conditions. We want the neighborhood to make a good impression. That would be good for our community here. With our project, we aim to improve hygiene and education, and we'll soon consider other areas where action is needed. First, they built these toilets, the very first for 3,000 people living in the slum. Until then, they used the street. Men during the day, women during the night. Upstairs, there's an office, a schoolroom, and a kitchen. Every morning, the women cook together. They prepare meals for the children in the schools nearby and sell food on the street as well to make a little money. A warm meal a day is by no means standard here in the slums. Working together in the community has made it possible. Preparing food is just one of a number of activities pursued in this building, and which are having an influence on the entire neighborhood.
Even though I'm a girl, I completed school, but then I didn't study any further. Instead, I looked after the household and my family. In my social class, that's the way it usually is. In my case too. But when I got to know this project, I told myself and spurred myself on to develop further and learn new things. And I saw that I had the capacity to do so.
One of the rooms upstairs is a computer lab. It's mostly women and girls who come here. They learn to design and print visiting cards, how to enter data such as addresses or do bookkeeping, skills with which they can earn some money.
Here we are taking basic, means DCA, Diploma in Computer Application, DTP, Desktop Publishing. It's a designing course like this cards making, visiting cards, and this everything, photo editing and all. And DTP we have 6.3 versions. It's oldest versions. Now latest is 9.2. We are planning to start that versions also.
Those in charge of the project meet once a week. There's a working group for each activity: education, the kitchen, the environment. They plan and coordinate and think about new activities the Triratna Prerana Mandal project might undertake.
The TRP, which is a very small local grassroots initiative. This is something that we are trying very hard to do in Mumbai, to make the local communities empowered so that they can impact their own life, so that you're not always waiting from outside for the help to come, but there are things that the community can do itself, bringing into play lots of partnerships.
People here in Santa Cruz have spent all their lives in a slum. Many families have lived in the same huts for generations. The homes are packed close, conditions are terrible. These are some of the poorest people in the world. Most here will never live anywhere else. Some, however, are trying to improve conditions within Santa Cruz to give it structure and culture. Mumbai is the most complex city in India, or even the world. More than 200 languages are spoken here, and almost as many religions practiced. The most important is Hinduism. Hindus see their religion as a way of life, one that involves acceptance of one's circumstances, and that is key to the coexistence of rich and poor in India.
I know that in most cities, they push the slums away into the back of beyond so that you don't see them. And that can be quite dangerous, because we are not only talking about the cosmetic beauty of a city, we are actually talking about improving the quality of life of all its citizens. Now, I personally think that if you can actually see people living in the slums the way they do, you feel some kind of a connection with the economic system that has created these great disparities between people who service the city and people who take all the advantage of that service at inexpensive wages.
Mumbai is growing inexorably. It's the economic heart of India. The city centre is for the most part a business district these days. Everywhere there are reminders of the colonial era when Britain ruled India. Train lines were built and the Suez Canal was opened. The cotton trade led to the first major boom here and provided the wealth to put up all the grand British-style buildings. India ceased to be a British colony in 1947. Since then, the population of Mumbai has grown tenfold. Overpopulation began to cause problems. In the 1980s, the textile industry collapsed, and that in turn led to deep and widespread poverty. Now Mumbai is being remodeled. The gateway to India is the city's landmark. It's being spruced up to attract more tourists. The city centre is given over to administration and banks. High-rises are more practical than colonial-era buildings. The island location means the city can't expand. To grow, it has to build upwards. In the heart of the city, not far from where terrorists attacked hotels and the railway station and killed 195 people in 2008, there's a small park. It has not been built over, despite soaring real estate prices and the construction boom. The park is a small oasis where thousands of people find respite every day.
If you look around you, there's all concrete. This is one of the small, beautiful lungs of the city. That's why we so jealously guard this space for everybody to enjoy. There's no entrance fee here. The poorest of the poor can come here. The richest of the rich can come here. We have the Kala Gora festival going on, and free for all. That is the beauty of this place.
Shirin Barucha lives just round the corner. She was a successful lawyer and has now devoted herself to looking after the park, to make her Mumbai just that bit more livable. Without her efforts, the park would probably have been swallowed up by some skyscraper development project. She's been fighting for more than 10 years, along with others in the neighborhood, to protect and care for their park.
The most important thing is to, I would say, meet the needs of the community, meet their needs, and not be, too restrictive to them, too harsh with them. In the other gardens, for example, which are there in Colaba and elsewhere, they open the gates at 6 o'clock and shut it at 10, and they're open at 5 again. Mine is open throughout the day, every single day, except this Saturday, which is closed for maintenance. That's all. So if you have such a space over here, people eventually respect it.
There isn't really room for parks in the center of Mumbai. Commercialization is eating away at urban space. India is a nuclear power. A nuclear power plant provides electricity for the center of Mumbai. The stock exchange is here. The huge film industry is run from here too. Only around midday is there room for food vendors, traders and craftsmen to set up their stalls. For them, the city is just a place to work and no longer home. There are paved roads, buses, lampposts and sewers in the center of Mumbai. It resembles a Western city. But the people who work there rarely have such modern infrastructure in the neighborhoods they live in. Since the 1990s, there have been many attacks in the city center. Almost 1,500 people have been killed. To whom do the streets belong? That is a question of growing importance in Indian society, which is generally so peaceful.
That, to me, is a matter of deep concern. Because the city is not a city if it does not offer security to both its girl and its boy, to man, woman, child, all of them. Security is essential. I think street lighting is essential. I think the fact that we should get back that kind of security. I remember when I was in Singapore, I was marveling at the fact that, at 2 o'clock in the night, I could just walk on the streets taking for granted that I will be safe. That's a given. That's what women must get.
The value of a city cannot be measured in terms of property prices. Shirin Barucha sees that from the terrace of her flat. It's in part thanks to her efforts that the cricket pitch and the colonial-era buildings, as well as her park, still exist. Along with other concerned residents of the city centre, she founded the Urban Design Research Institute, or UDRI.
It's important for a city to recognize the importance of its history, its collective consciousness, its memory, and that preserves. UDRI has worked a lot to preserve that.
The Institute is a charitable trust that seeks to enrich the understanding of the urban environment and work towards its improvement. It draws students from all over the world.
The ultimate aim for our project is that we can formulate guidelines such that for any kind of future development in the area, there is a set plan for which developers and architects can follow, such that the character of the area is not lost. Because right now what's happening is, I think in 1995, this area was given a heritage recognition. So after that, each building got graded separately, as a result of which each building follows different guidelines.
The Institute creates maps of the city, draws up development and improvement plans, runs a library, and it's a forum for ideas. Many beautifully restored buildings bear the Institute's stamp.
This is one of the earliest public-private partnerships in conserving a particular institutional building. The building is owned by the Ministry of Education, Government of Maharashtra. And through UDRI Kala-Ghoda Association, it set out the program where a tripartite agreement was done between the government, the college, and Kala-Ghoda Association. This was one of the first examples where government did its job. It did not have items of conservation in its tender.
Creating networks and alliances is often the key to getting things done in a society marked by castes, segmentation, and numerous minorities. Pankaj Joshi, the director of the Urban Design Research Institute, is as much a diplomat and negotiator as he is an architect. He's on his way to his next and so far biggest project. The slums to the east of the city centre are among the worst in Asia or even the world. This old harbour serves as the public toilet for tens of thousands of people, and it stinks. In the mist out on the water, the drug dealers' boats are at anchor. A few people here earn a living breaking up old ships. Everywhere, there's squalor and disease.
This is one of our primary projects which we've been working for the last 7 years. This land is owned by the state, by the government, and if it is used for the benefit of the community, probably this can house more than 1 million households here.
The project Pankaj Joshi is working on foresees building 2-story homes in order to make room for a public space along the shore, for roads, and for proper toilets. He's seeking the support of the people and the municipality. At present, drinking water is delivered by truck twice a week. Life here hangs on a slender thread.
Out, yeah. Completely.
"300 years ago, most of the land Mumbai is built on didn't exist. There were 7 separate islands here. As the population grew, huge amounts of sand were shifted and dumped to link the islands and create a peninsula. The sea is always nearby, but few people seem to cherish or enjoy it as an asset. Bandra is a suburb to the north of the city. Local middle-class residents have got together to beautify the shoreline.
Well, you can see some glimpses of how this entire promenade was with these, with the rubble and the debris which is here. You know, when buildings are demolished or they're renovated, people just bring their debris and just leave them here.
Just 500 meters further, the situation is as dismal as it always was. The slum reaches down to the water. The beach is used as a toilet. People come here to wash themselves, their animals, or their taxis. Every year during the monsoon season, chaos reigns. Refuse and sewage trigger the spread of infectious diseases. Epidemics ensue. The Arabian Sea halts the spread of the slum in one direction, and train tracks do the same in the other. The fishermen's lives are tuned to the rhythm of the tides. They sleep where they work, repairing their nets and drying their catch. A few meters away, people do laundry for themselves, prosperous families they work for, or the local hospital. Community activists and the initiators of the Waterfront Centre say that creating public spaces along the shore that can be used and enjoyed by all social classes would improve the quality of life in the crowded city. It would be an important statement and help revitalise poor neighbourhoods.
Followed a process which essentially relied on participation, which saw planning, including planning, as a democratic process in which ordinary citizens, non-professionals could participate in and prepare a vision and a plan for their own neighborhood. I think that, to my mind, is the most significant aspect, because as an architect, I realize plans can be drawn up on our drawing boards in conference rooms and presented through patrons or implemented through patrons who appoint us with professional fees. But here it was much more. The whole process of planning was democratic, that there was this process of giving and taking and learning by a collective effort. Backyards of the city, and therefore
the planners hope people will come together and undertake joint activities in these new public spaces. The local residents should come to consider the shore and the upgrading of the shore as theirs.
You will find very heavily.
I think it's very important to realize that this space has created the opportunity for people to come together, people across classes, communities. So I think unlike many other these barricaded and gated areas, like a park right next to this promenade, which is, there is a